And hello and good morning. We are live on Boles.tv. I'm David Boles. This is BOLES.tv for those watching and participating with closed captions. And we are here Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern. So far, we'll see how far luck takes us. And on Friday, January will be here at 9:15 a.m. doing an interesting tutorial on light in ASL. The texture, the quality, the color, the appearance, going from big lights in the sky down to a smaller light in the palm of your hand. Will be interesting, I think. We hope. It will be. I'm just kidding. She's number one. She's the big pro in the house. Well, the news is everywhere. It's just Russia, Russia, Russia. I don't know why we tolerate such bad behavior from a big country. I don't know if they just want attention or they want to start a war. I know they love the Cold War. We did not. They want to go back to the Cold War. But all through the Trump years, all we heard about was Russia and how they helped him get elected, and he didn't hold their feet to the fire, and they were putting price tags on our soldiers. Kill fees, if you will. And now Russia's going to go into Ukraine. I don't know why they weren't stopped from taking back Crimea. I think that was the biggest crime of the whole thing. And then the Russian ice skater cheating, clearly. And nothing being done about it. She can still compete, sure. Oh, she's only 15. What do you mean she's only 15? Oh, she's so dumb that she took her grandfather's heart medication. And oh, by the way, she also took her mother's heart medication as well. And we're supposed to sit there and buy it. And we shake our heads and we say, oh, that's what happened. Okay, well then, everything's great. But does anybody ever call them out officially? Hold their feet to the fire? Just say you're lying and move on. Now the athletes are upset, which I think is good, the Olympic athletes. Everyone I've seen being interviewed about the ice skater, they're furious that she's allowed to compete and that her medals were not taken away. Hello, Dora. Good morning to you. So nice to have you with us. Going to shape up to kind of be a nice day around here. Like 40s, 50s today. That's almost opening the windows a little bit. I like that. Right now it's a little cool. So the IOC is not awarding any medals until they decide 2 or 3 months after the Olympics are finished what they're going to do with this cheating scandal. But when it came to our American runner who was smoking pot, she was completely removed from the team and couldn't compete. And I understand they're differing bodies, but it should be the same everywhere. If they have proof that you're cheating, how can you continue to compete? It makes the whole thing a farce. And the athletes know it. They're saying that. But the people in charge aren't saying anything about it. And we know that Russia dopes. We know they cheat. Athletes should be upset about the Russian skater. That's not right. I agree with you, Dora. And they are upset. And you just wonder, where is fair play? How is this a competition? And it will ruin the Olympics if they do not remove her and remove her medals. It will ruin the Olympics because you can cheat and continue to play if you're Russia. And the rest of the world has to listen to their excuses. It's just tiring. So last week we talked a little bit about Google and how upset they are that the government is making changes on how they collect private data about us. And I shared with you their update, and then they said, do you want more information as we get it? And I signed up and said, oh, sure. So they sent me this last night, and I just find it fascinating. Thank you for signing up to stay informed about Congress's proposed legislation and the unintended consequences it could have for your business. My business or your business? The Google advertising business or my little tiny business that sometimes gets Google hits and sometimes often does not? What's happened so far? Well, as they put their arm around me to explain what happened. In mid-January, the Senate Judiciary Committee voted to advance a controversial bill. Excuse me, it's 9 o'clock. We know what time it is. Hot box time from the neighbor. A bill that could disrupt many of the digital tools that you use, including Google Ads and Analytics, Gmail and Docs, and your business listing on Google Search and Maps. So they're already trying to scare you. Well, you know, it's going to be bad for us because we're Google, but it's going to be really bad for you. Similar proposals have made their way through the U.S. Judiciary House Committee. Not only has the Google expressed concerns about these bills, but so have leading business organizations such as the Chamber of Commerce, saying the bills would stymie innovation, and noting that America's digitally powered small businesses should be deeply concerned because the government doesn't want Google tracking you anymore. How might these regulations impact your business? Oh, I can't wait to find out. If passed, Google's proposed bills could cost your business time and money, making it harder for customers to find you. If your business listing, including your phone number, address, and business hours, no longer appear on Google Search and Maps. Here's how you look now, and here's how you might look in the future. It doesn't look that different to me, but this is all about Google not wanting to lose their money in the access to track you in every breath you take. This makes your digital marketing less effective if Google Ads products are disconnected from each other and from Google Analytics. It hurts your productivity if Gmail, Docs, and Calendar are split up into separate entities and they no longer work together seamlessly. Now, I didn't really know they worked together. I mean, I know they're all from the Google, but I didn't know that Gmail worked with Docs and Calendar worked with Docs and Gmail. I didn't know that. I don't find that in my everyday use of these, and I use those products all day, every day. Now, it used to be, that when you got a Gmail, you could save that mail to your Google Docs. And it was neat because it was a way of saving in a readable file an email. Now, I think they removed that because I can't find it anymore. Maybe they moved it someplace and I can't find it. But that was a function that I really enjoyed that they took away about 2 or 3 years ago. So this government threat to me and my people, not a big a threat as I thought it would be. Well, turning to the tragic news. Talked about this a little bit yesterday on Twitter. Christina Lee was murdered in New York. And people are talking about it because it's so awful and so horrible. She worked at Splice, and Splice works with a lot of the online streaming services that we use here on Boles.tv. And this is their memory of her. Over the weekend, our beloved Christina Lee was senselessly murdered in her home. Our hearts are broken, always dedicated to making beautiful and inclusive artwork. Christina is irreplaceable. As we start to process this tragedy, we ask that you remember Christina Lee as the magical person she was, always filled with joy. We wish peace upon her family in their grief. And here she is. I can't imagine losing a daughter, losing a family member to something as senseless and confounding as murder. Here's another memory. Christina Lee was a digital producer at Splice. She was a 35-year-old Korean American and a graduate of Rutgers University. I used to teach there. Love Rutgers. Main campus and in Newark. She lived in a 6-story walk-up in Chinatown. On Sunday morning, a stranger followed her home and murdered her in her apartment. May she find rest. May her family and her friends find comfort. Another photograph of her. Painful. It's really painful. Woman followed and fatally stabbed in her Chinatown apartment. Now you try to tell people, you try to teach people and say, look, when you go into your apartment, make sure no one's following you. Now if your apartment, the front door of the building doesn't lock, you have a problem. Well, then go out and go for a walk around the block. Go find somebody. Go into a bodega or a store and just hang out there for a little while. But if someone follows you into your building, follows you up 6 flights of stairs, and you don't know them, and you probably have a pretty good idea who lives in your building, you have to do something. You don't open your apartment door and allow this person to follow you. And I'm not victim blaming. I'm just saying from here on out, you have to be aware of who's behind you. And you can't just bow your head and hope they'll go away. Here's a comment. The NYPD failed that woman. They couldn't break the door down, but didn't even try to go through the fire escape and break a window to get in. I don't understand that. Especially when a cough on the roof saw the killer try to flee via the fire escape. Dora says, I spoke to my son that someone should create an app that would alert you if someone has a knife, a gun, or a bomb. There has to be a way. I think there are some apps that do that. Crime apps where they listen to the scanner, and then if it's in your zip code or the area, then they send you an alert. And here's the story in the New York Post. That is her collaborator, not the guy who followed her. Now, this is the terrifying part. This is the surveillance video from her hallway, with the killer stalking her as she's on the first floor of the apartment building. And this is, I guess we say, the alleged killer. Asamad Nash is his name. And if you saw the video of them walking him out of the apartment, it was very odd. Dora is always alert and aware of surroundings. That's good. You have to be, especially in the big city, because there are just so many more people around. Still dangers in small cities, but usually if it's a small city, you know who the people are, and you know where the danger is. And when he was being brought out of the building, he was looking at the cameras and talking to them and acting very, very bizarrely. And some people are saying, oh, this is another Asian hate crime. A black man hitting an Asian woman. It's just shocking. So what else is shocking? Well, we're going to talk about NFTs just very briefly because I'm fascinated by the whole thing. Azuki, A-Z-U-K-I. These are the latest NFT avatars. 10,000 of them have been made. The floor price for one of these avatars is 14.35 Ethereum. Now, one Ethereum is, oh, there's Dora. She saw that too. One Ethereum is $3,000. So 14 times 3 is what? $35,000. $36,000. for one of these things. One. Now, the cyberpunk thing was one sold for $29 million. I mean, there's something odd going on there that someone would pay $29 million for one piece of NFT artwork that's very ugly. And these, I guess, okay, anime, kids are into it. What kid has access to $33,000? The floor yesterday when I set this up was 11, and now it's up to 14. So that's already a buying frenzy. So the price has gone up, what, $9,000? $41,000 for one of these? I'm not seeing it. It's not my type of art. It's not what I appreciate. Steve Aoki, who is a musician for 20 years, commented yesterday. He had some kind of limited NFT run that he did last year, and he said, in that limited run of selling NFTs that lasted about 2 weeks, I made more money in those 2 weeks selling NFTs than I have in a 20-year career in the music business. So there is something very strange and very hyper and unreal that is going on with these NFTs. These are all people who are looking ahead how to use them in the metaverse. That is probably right on target. And what is the value in that? I don't know. Would you go on, and Games Etc. Dora says, and would you go on to the metaverse and use these as your avatar? I don't think you can. I think you would have to use these as pieces of art on your wall. I spoke to a new friend of mine because I realized that if you're interested in NFTs, you have to go the one of one route. You cannot go the one of 8,500 route. And that's expensive. If you're only making one and selling one of something, the price is going to be high and astronomical. And she said her floor price for a one-on-one is 2 Ethereum. $6,000. And her artwork is good, fine. But if you want to have exclusivity, you have to pay for it. I'm not paying 2. I'm not even paying 1. Yes, these are called skins or use characters in movies, etc. Yeah, this is anime. And see, what they do is this is all... no one is drawing 10,000 of these, and that's how many are for sale. And I don't know if they're actually for sale yet, or if you're just looking and bidding on them now. Which, if you have the power, is very smart. Because there is no floor. You start the bid at 11, and then it goes up to 14. Here, the top bid here is 12, so that's what you're doing. So you place a bid on what you're willing to pay for this avatar. 12 Ethereum, $38,000. And here are all the people who are bidding on it. Oh my goodness. Shocking. And so what they do with these, to go back to the topic of how they create these, artist Dora is reading up on it, and I'm so old, I don't play video games. Yeah, I'm not sure if these are video games or if this is like TV shows. I don't know. And I really don't care because I have no interest in this except to gawk at it. So what they do is to make 10,000 of these, to sell these. And what is 10,000 times? Okay, now I'm calling up my calculator. So, let's see how to do this. Okay, so let's say 10,000 of them. Let's say 41 is the price, average price, 41,000. So if they sell all 10,000 of these for a floor price, let's say, of 14 Ethereum, they will make 410 million in this drop. Wow. I think we're in the wrong business. So all of these are computer generated. And if you look at these, you can see they all have common themes in the way they're drawn. Look at the nose and the profile. They're all looking the same way. Sometimes they have a hand up, sometimes they don't. The nose, the mouth, the outline of the nose and the mouth is exactly the same. Sometimes the mouth is open a little bit, like in this one, sometimes it's closed. Okay, so that's what they do. They have a template. They have the face template. And then they add lips color, they add open mouth, they add skin tone. Then they have the hair part that they change, all with computers. Shaggy, blonde, red, purple gray. And some of these have a hand, and the hand is always in the same area. Lower left, lower left, lower left. So you can either turn on the hand and show a hand, or you can turn off the hand, no hand. Sometimes they're holding something like this. Now this is going to be expensive because this one goes all the way across the back of the body, and it has a, what is this, snot bubble? That's what it looks like. I don't know. I don't know if these are knowable characters or if these are just people in a world. This one is holding a coffee. And skin, you can add a tattoo. And the template for the jacket or the coat, either a hoodie or camo. That's why I love digital drawing, Dora says. Do you know how easy this is to create? See, Dora already has a step up on this because this is what she does in her real life work. She knows how all this stuff works. And the same thing happens with the ugly kitties from Sabette, where you have all these cats, and all they do is change the eye, change the nose, change the face. And you can probably see that easier in the Sabette Tokyo Punks. I'll show you that very briefly, because this Tokyo Punks by Sabette. This is even more clear on how this is done electronically. So there are 5,000 of these Tokyo Punks, and I believe they're one of ones. And when you look at the description, there's the face, there's the mouth, there's the tongue. Eyes open, eyes closed. Teeth in the mouth, no teeth in the mouth. Background color, no background color. So it's all a template. A human being is not creating each one of these individually with hands, like drawing on a canvas or putting paint on a canvas. It's all been done digitally. Now, frankly, between the two of us, I find these Tokyo Punks extremely ugly. And they're popular because they make great avatars. And in the Sabette Discord server, you can see everyone who has a Tokyo Punk is very proud of it. They think they're beautiful. The price, a little expensive. A little more than half an Ethereum, which is about $1,800. So would you pay $1,800 for one of these ugly things? Real art is more time intensive. I had to redo my friend's Yorkie about 10 times trying to get the look right. Ah, yeah, we talked about that yesterday. It's very, very difficult. I agree with you. So all they're doing are having the computer decide what to overlay. Glasses or no glasses. Tongue out, tongue in. Tongue up, tongue down. Lips blue, lips green. Heart glasses, no heart glasses. What kind of nose? A scribbly nose, an X nose, a big nose, and a chevron nose, 2 holes for a nose. So in some way, to me, this kind of computer-generated art is soulless and very cynical, because it's not being drawn by hand by the artist. I mean, you can't draw 10,000 anime. But I guess you can sell them for 14 Ethereum each. This also hit my inbox yesterday, which I find delicious and delightful. This is Tindle. I believe it's a new company. They now have chicken. And chicken is like the last frontier in fake meat. They do sausage, they do turkey slices. They do burgers, meatloaf, hot sausage. But they've never really been able to master chicken until about the last year, where Beyond Meat has their chicken and Impossible has their chicken, and now Tindle, a company I've never heard of before, now has a chicken patty. And KFC has their chicken too. Now that's a healthy looking chicken patty. What is Tindle? It's ridiculously good. Well, to some, the idea that chicken made from plants can taste exactly like, if not better than chicken from birds is kind of ridiculous. We looked ridiculous in the eye and said, let's do it. That's Tindle. A mouth-watering, meaty experience. By changing what we consume, we can affect the future of our planet, one delicious bite at a time. So I love the philosophy. I love everything they're trying to do. Less land, 74%. Then raising animals. 88% lower emissions, 82% less water. And I guess you can order it online because that looks like a delivery box from what I know in my experience. Get a free sample. So find a restaurant. I wonder if that's possible. I wonder who is using Tindle. Uh-oh. Doesn't look like there's anybody near us. Well, I don't want to do that. Where to find us in the U.S.? Right now, nowhere. So that's Tindle. I don't know who they're supplying or what restaurants they're in or if we can even buy it online. I don't know yet. Usually they have an exclusivity window with a restaurant or a fast food chain. And then like 6 months to a year later, you can buy it yourself online. Which can work. They usually ship it FedEx. They put it in dry ice. They usually get it to you within 2 days, and the dry ice is supposed to last 5 days. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. And if you ever get stuff that you order online that arrives and it's not frozen, you have to contact the company and say, look, it's mush. And they will replace it for you because they know it's very dangerous to eat that kind of stuff once it's thawed. So here are all kinds of recipes I guess you can use to cook your Tindle. I think it's lovely. Calories are good, 120 per serving. Protein is good, 17. Excellent. Can't beat it. So there you go. That's Tindle. It's a lot of fun today. Now we're going to take a very brief blood pressure break and come back and talk a little bit more about this Metaverse that's going to be taking over our lives. Like it or not. Want it or not. Back in a moment. are back. From break, I'm David Boles. This is Boles.tv. B-O-L-E-S .television TV. Glad you're here with us wherever you are in the world. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Sleep well, wake up, hurry up, get going, sit down, take a nap. Whatever. Pick and choose. Well, we're going back briefly to the NFT thing and these computer-generated Tokyo punks, which are very big in the Sabet world. But there's also another thing that's big in the Sabet world, and I believe these Tokyo punks are one of one, which is why they're a little expensive. He also has this. These are Ugly Kitties by Sabet. 319 of them, one of one, as far as I understand it. And the floor price is 0.24, which is a little expensive. What, about $2,000, I guess? Now, these are also computer generated, where you have the face, the size of the head, the eyes, the mouth open, color of skin, all computer generated, not hand drawn. And I love these. The Tokyo punks, not my style. I don't get it. I look at this, I think, why? These are funny. I like the cats very much. And as you can see, they're priced a little bit high because they're one of a kind. Now, Sabet told me that he's working on version 2. So this is the first collection, and then he's having a second collection where more Ugly Kitties will be coming to arrive. You can create a temple of eyes, nose, tail, and mix and match. That's exactly how it works, Dora. That's how they do these, and they let the computer do it all. They make the artistic decisions against color and size of face and head, and then they let the computer take it on and design the rest of it. Now, these Ugly Kitties are sold out. They're expensive. They keep going up in price. And it's because they're one of a kind, but very, very delightful. This one is $3,000. And it's funny. That would make a great avatar. So if you're going to go for computer art, computer-generated art, where there's one of, 300 or 8,500, you have to be aware of what you're buying. And you have to like what you're buying. I think some people just buy because they want to get caught up in it and go, 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 which is perfectly fine. As long as you know what you're getting into. So this is a $14,000 kitty. It's amazing to me, really. But once done, can another artist create another kitty or dog? No, because how creative can you be? Yeah, I guess, I don't know, Sabet's gonna somehow change how they look, or do a second version, because people who bought the first version are not going to be happy if they have a second version. And when he dropped these, the sale, there was 0.2 Ethereum. Right, it's whoever gets there first, my point. Yeah, that's exactly right. And there are a lot of people who gobble these up just because they want to resell for double the price. And you can tell that because, especially on these Ugly Kitties, if it would go back, yeah. And you know all of that because of this. 319 items. They're all sold out. They've been sold out for 10 months. And only 254 owners. My computer's not cooperating with me. There you go. So 399. So there are 50 people, 55 people who've purchased at least 2, or maybe fewer than that who've purchased 3 or 4. And some of them want to collect it and keep it, and some people want to just flip it on the secondary market. So it's cute, I admit, very cute. And if you want to buy, you go into here, you click on Buy Now. Price from low to high, that's what you want. And here are the affordable kitties that are for sale. The Santa Kitty is 0.24, and it goes up from there. Up and up and up. So, those are the ugly kitties. Now let's talk about Meta. Did you see the Super Bowl ad for the Metaverse? I don't know who's taking care of the advertising for the Metaverse, but I gotta tell you, this Super Bowl ad was awful. Because you watch this, you don't know anything about the Metaverse, but you've heard about it. Oh gosh, what's the Metaverse? Let me watch the Super Bowl ad. And it's a 2-minute ad. Well, let me watch it. We're gonna watch it, but no sound. We're gonna watch it, and we're gonna see, oh my gosh, how can we get in there? And if you watch this, you're going to see it's filled with rejected play animals who find a second life in the Metaverse. So bizarre. Not for real people, but for dolls and toys that are being destroyed. That's who lives in the Metaverse. I don't get it. So this is how it starts. I'm glad it's closed captioned. So they're all part of a band, right? Chuck E. Cheese is what they're suggesting here. And there are people who buy these performers and put them in their garage and sell them. So Chuck E. Cheese is over. They're closing down. All the members of the band are being taken apart and separated from each other. Closing forever, Chuck E. Cheese. In a pawn shop. I guess that's a dog. Then he goes from there to the golf course. Then he's some kind of karaoke thing. Then he's on the back of Mitt Romney's car, taped to the top. Then he's on a garbage heap on the side of the road. Not even a coyote will eat him. Crying in the rain, being crushed. Oh, wait. I'm going to take him out and put him in the Metaverse. This is where it's creepy. Who is this woman, and why is she making this guy a tour guide? And then the kids get happy and put the Oculus on his eyes, and suddenly he has a whole new life in the Metaverse. After hours, I can play in the Metaverse with my newfound friends. And oh, and there's the place that was closed. It's open again. Oh my gosh, look, I'm a superstar returning. And there are my old friends who are also in the Metaverse. They were rejected too. And we have a whole new life in the Metaverse. Old friends, new fun. I didn't see this ad. See, all targeted to gamers. Yeah, I'm going to play this again because I find it so fascinating. I don't know who thinks that this is going to bring people into the Metaverse. It's not about people. It's about inanimate objects interacting in the Metaverse. Now, if you're going after the old people who used to be in a band, a high school band, hey, let's put the band back together in the Metaverse. Well, that's interesting, but that's not what this commercial does. This commercial is very sad and sorry. And what kind of inspiration does that send to a person who's trying to figure out what they want to do with their lives? Real life applications, I don't get it. I don't get it either. And they spent 2 minutes of time on this thing that doesn't really tell you what the Metaverse is. It's minute 45 of a toy dog being amused. And then 15 seconds of joining the Metaverse. And these kids think it's funny. They're making fun of him. And there he is. There's the Metaverse, where you have an upper body and no lower body. No legs allowed in the Metaverse. $10 billion a year on this thing they're spending. But again, that's why I don't think the metaverse is really for us. The metaverse is for big business and companies who want to force us into the metaverse to continue working in our time off. Well, if you're going to go to the metaverse tonight, why don't you just stop by the office and we'll have some virtual work for you to do while you're there. Just for a second or two, then you can go back to playing your game. And this is where it gets slightly terrifying because JPMorgan Chase is a great big New York bank. It used to be Chemical Bank. We banked there when they were Chemical Bank. And now it's JPMorgan Chase. And they're pushing their way into the metaverse. Which is terrifying because who wants to go into the metaverse and have a bank there? And why are you in the metaverse? What are you trying to do? Are you trying to steal my money? Are you trying to process my NFTs? I can do that in my real life. JPMorgan Chase has opened a lounge. Hey, we have a new follower. El Beyonce 2. Thank you much for following. They've opened a lounge in Decentraland. So I guess the metaverse has its own little lands and places where you can go and hang out. I would agree with you, Dora says, regarding metaverse. Musicians can have virtual concerts, etc. I can see them participating. Yeah. And everything is going to cost you money. I mean, just to get into the metaverse, you have to pay $600 to buy the equipment. So they've opened a lounge in Decentraland as the biggest bank in the U.S. looks to capitalize on what it says is limitless opportunity in the virtual world known as the metaverse. And making money. Yes. We make it the old-fashioned way. We earn it in the metaverse. In Decentraland, one of the most popular metaverses, the bank's Onyx Lounge resides in Metajaku, a virtual version of Tokyo's Harajuku shopping district. A tiger wanders the first floor of your bank. Okay. And a winding staircase leads to the second floor, where a person's avatar can watch experts talk about the crypto market. So if you haven't had enough crypto in your real life, you can go into the metaverse, go to JP Morgan Bank, run away from a tiger who's wandering the first floor, go up to the second floor, and just hang around and listen to people. JP Morgan's new footprint in virtual real estate coincided with the bank's release of a white paper on opportunities in the metaverse, a market which it said could eventually generate $1 trillion in annual revenue. Now, I just... Hey, they're smarter than I am. They have more money than I do. I don't see it. I think they see it. But I don't think regular people are going to want to go near it. In a tweet, Christine Moy, the global head of Inc. Crypto and the Metaverse for JP Morgan, said the bank wrote the paper to help clients cut through the noise and highlight what we would love to see built or scaled in the next commercial infrastructure tech piracy, privacy, identity, workforce, and social governance. For example, the bank sees expanded virtual real estate ownership. You're going to buy land in a virtual world. And decentralized autonomous organizations, DAOs. That's big. The DAOs are very interesting. IPFS, ENS, Boles.eth, that's DAO. Eventually being the financial arm for those purchases. Of course, they want to. It's decentralized, it's equalized, and JP Morgan wants to be part of it. They want to be the financial arm for those purchases. Whew. In just 6 months in 2021, the average price of a parcel of virtual land in the metaverse doubled to $12,000 from $6,000. Now remember, there was some guy who bought land next to Snoop Dogg's house. in the virtual world and paid $400,000 for that parcel of land so he could say he's neighbors with Snoop. Not in the real world, in the metaverse. JPMorgan also sees a new workforce and more virtual concerts like Ariana Grande's. We are now at an inflection point where it seems that not a day goes by without a company or celebrity announcing that they are building a presence in a virtual universe. Very true. And here's where it gets really funny. This is the Hepcat person we just learned about, who works at JPMorgan Chase and is head of the Metaverse unit. This is the username, moy.f at JPM Inc. Dora says, you know, they are trying to make it seem that these little people will be making money, but it's the big corporations and celebrities. I agree. So they're all going to pour all their money into this place, but if people don't go, and if people don't buy your stuff, it's just going to be a big commercial mess of who wants that? Who'll be making money because it's all they'll be charging us. Yeah, they'll charge us every step of the way. Onyx at the JPMorgan, the Link Network, Metaverse Payments, Blockchain, WEF Global Future, Council for Bitcoin, United DAO. Nobody wants JPMorgan Chase and a DAO. And these are people responding to this very long thread that this person, JPMorgan, said about how great we are to be in the metaverse, right? So this is Twitter. This is the real world. There is a typo in the document. Now that's kind of giving a hard time, but let's continue. Page 4 correction, autonomous, not anonymous. They're spell checking. the JPMorgan celebration. Page 6 correction, released, not really released. So that's the danger you have when you go on there and you say, hey, boy, we're big in the metaverse. Hey, real world Twitter, what do you think? Well, Twitter looked at this document, and this is the document. I will share it with you in chat. And they read it, and they found mistakes and typos. And funny. JPMorgan Chase in the metaverse. And this is a 18-page document about the metaverse. The elements of a new digital age are converging at scale. The metaverse is the driving force bringing these elements together in a unified immersive experience. Now, when regular people start talking this way, I'll be into it a little bit more. But when you have JPMorgan Chase Bank saying this, it makes me look behind me and see who's picking my pocket. Every year, $54 billion is spent on virtual goods, almost double the amount spent buying music. Approximately 60 billion messages are sent daily on Roblox. $80 million. GDP for Second Life. What is the metaverse? Now that's going to be funny having. So this is what JPMorgan thinks the metaverse is. Here's their first description of it. The metaverse is a seamless convergence of our physical and digital lives, creating a unified virtual community where we can work, play, relax, transact, and socialize. Did you notice that work is the very is the very first thing that JPMorgan Chase wants you to do in the metaverse? They don't want you playing games. They don't want you going to McDonald's. They want you walking around having fun with your friends. They want you working. And you know, one day these big companies are going to say, you know, your training, you're going to do it in the metaverse. You don't have to come in, but you have to go in the metaverse and buy your own equipment to get in there. So it's just shocking how hard they are selling this. And how much they are trying to make it seem fun and funky. Who wouldn't want to go into the metaverse with a thing on your head and you're holding two things in your hand and do your work for the day? Why wouldn't you? Make more money for us. Now here's an interesting image from the metaverse where this person appears to have legs. Now, I don't know if that's actually the metaverse because I've never been there, but it must be something like it. Oh, I guess that's NFTs on the wall, right? So you build your own little house, pay $12,000 for a plot of land, build a house for $600,000, whatever, and fill the walls with your NFTs that you purchased on OpenSea. So I get a little scared when these big companies are so excited about a nerdy thing that nobody really understands or even is involved with yet. It's just a little bit pushy. And we'll know when this is acceptable one day when these credit card companies allow you to purchase cryptocurrency, Ethereum, Bitcoin, as if it's a regular purchase. Because right now, if they allow it, and many don't allow it, they charge it as a cash advance. So it comes with fees and very high interest rates, and if you don't pay it back immediately, then you're just dunked. So when they do that, when they say crypto is the same equivalency as purchasing something with your credit card, then you'll know they're really in the game. But right now they're not. So that's the metaverse. It's coming for us, like it or not. Oh, you want to make a credit card payment? You want to buy a house? You have to go in the metaverse first. Put on your costume. Don't worry about your missing legs. Just go there and digitally sign your life away to JPMorgan Chase in the metaverse. Oh, here we go. The Bored Apes made it into the JPMorgan Chase thing. Adidas NFT project with Bored Ape Yacht Club. Oh, here we go. Ooh, we just happened upon this one. Gotta make this bigger. Not for the ape, for this. Oh, here you go. Here's the real reason. Buried on page 13 of 18. Workforce of the future. What will the future of work in the metaverse look like? Some key areas. Consider training new designers. Evolution of content creators and storytellers. Redeployment of event producers that specialize in metaverse experiences. Creation of community managers focused on creating online robust relationships. Terrifying. Terrifying. It's like people at a party, dancing nude and saying, "Are you having a good time yet?" No. This is an Adidas is actually how it's pronounced. NFT project with Bored Ape Yacht Club. So they have this whole white paper on how fun the metaverse is going to be. And this is the woman that we read her tweets that were corrected on Twitter. Crazy. And now it's time for a very brief blood pressure break. We will be back momentarily and talk about synthetic faces. Do you trust them or not? And we are back from break. I'm David Boles. This is Boles.tv. BOLES.TNV. And we are here with you every weekday, Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. And we're very happy to see you and very happy that you are with us today. Lots of interesting stuff going on in the world. And next, we're going to talk about faces. And what do you know about them? How well do you know the face in front of you? Do you trust that face? Is it a fake face or a real face? Well, we're going to find out. Generative adversarial networks, thankfully known as GANs, are popular mechanisms for synthesizing content. A GAN pits two neural networks, a generator and discriminator, against each other. To synthesize an image of a fictional person, the generator starts with a random array of pixels and iteratively learns to synthesize a realistic face. Almost sounds like anime faces in the NFT world. On each iteration, the discriminator learns to distinguish the synthesized face from a corpus of real faces. If the synthesized face is distinguishable from the real faces, then the discriminator penalizes the generator. Over multiple iterations, the generator learns to synthesize increasingly more realistic faces until the discriminator is unable to distinguish it from real faces. What does that mean? Well, here you go. This is what you get. Let me see if I can manage this a little bit better. So in this chart, they had people look at these faces. And vote on these if you think the face is real, if you think the face is synthetic, say R is real, S is synthetic, and how much you trust these people. So here you go. Highest ranked, 92% real, the old man. Next, 89% real, the old man. Another old man. 86% real, young man. 84% real, middle-aged man. 89% looks like a young male. 88%, and that was a synthetic person, synthesized person. 88% fake. 87% fake. 86% fake. And you can see how these faces now, they're changing, they're making it better, and that's how the computer's learning, based on this kind of feedback. What a synthetic face looks like and feels like, and it has success, and what it doesn't have. It's a little confusing. Okay. Shown in figure 3 are the 4 most and 4 least trustworthy faces. The top 3 faces, most trustworthy faces, are synthetic. Fascinating. While the bottom 4 least trustworthy faces are real. And these are people that they found online. They showed them these pictures, said real, fake, trustworthy, not trustworthy. A smiling face is more likely to be rated as trustworthy. By 65.5% of our real faces and 58.8% of synthetic faces are smiling. So facial expression alone cannot explain why synthetic faces are rated as more trustworthy. So there is the trustworthy rate for these lovely faces. And I don't think the people knew that they were fake. I think it was just, do you trust this face or not trust this face? So, synthetic, 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 winning 6%. Real, 6%. Real, 2. Real, 2. Real, 1. Real, 1.5. And the article does discuss how the darker your skin color, like it or not, the least trustworthy some people found you to be, real or synthetic. So race still plays a major role in how we perceive our communities. Synthetically generated faces are not just highly photorealistic, they are nearly indistinguishable from real faces and are judged more trustworthy. This hyper-photorealism is consistent with recent findings. 2 studies did contain the same diversity of race and gender as ours. Did not contain the same diversity of race and gender as ours, nor did they match the real and synthetic faces as we did to minimize the chance of inadvertent cues. What is less surprising, that white male faces are highly realistic because these faces dominate the neural network training. We find the realism of synthetic faces extends across race and gender. Perhaps most interestingly, we find that synthetically generated faces are more trustworthy than real faces. Because you're going for the perfect, you're trying to pin down the divine. The computer's trying to say, okay, I'm God now, so let me make the perfect face that's trustworthy. This may be because synthesized faces tend to look more like average faces, which themselves are deemed more trustworthy. Regardless of the underlying reason, synthetically generated faces have emerged on the other side of the uncanny valley. This should be considered a success for the fields of computer graphics and vision. At the same time, easy access to such high-quality fake imagery has led to and will continue to lead to various problems, including more convincing online fake profiles. As synthetic audio and video generation continues to improve, problems of non-consensual intimate imagery, fraud, and disinformation campaigns with serious implications for both societies and environments. So for each synthesized face, we collected a matching real face in terms of gender, age, race, and overall appearance from the underlying face database used online. As with synthetic faces, to reduce extraneous cues, we only included images with a mostly uniform background. 2, with unobstructed faces, no hats or hands in front of the face, and in focus and high resolution, and with no obvious writing or logos or clothing. We visually inspected up to 50 of the best matched faces and selected the one that met the criteria and was also matched in terms of overall face position, posture, and expression, and presence of glasses and jewelry. So here we go again. The faces and what they mean. So, here's the real face and then the synthesized face to make it more trustworthy. Real, synthetic. Real, synthetic. Real, synthetic. Real and synthetic. It's interesting. The synthetic I find to be just slightly more perfect looking. Synthetic on the left, real on the right. Synthetic on the left, real on the right. Amazing. Terrifying. Can't trust anybody these days. Or is either screaming or laughing? I can't tell. I'm old. Let me see what it says. Well, it could be screaming or crying, which I like. So this talks about the first experiment, the second experiment, the third experiment, trustworthiness. This is how they did it. Screaming. Okay, good. I agree. I'm screaming too. For experiment 3, which is the last one we looked at, which is the very close take this face and make it synthetic so it becomes more trustworthy. We recruited 223 Mechanical Turk master workers. That's an Amazon place where you can go and you get paid for doing mechanical things. Machines can do the work. Well, on Mechanical Turk, you do the work. Each participant first read a brief introduction explaining the purpose of the study was to assess the trustworthiness of a face on a scale of 1, untrustworthy, to 7, very trustworthy. Because there was no correct answer, no trial by feedback was provided. Participants were also informed they would see 10 catch trials of faces in which the numeric trustworthy rating was directly overlaid atop of the face. A failure to correctly report the specified rating on at least 9 of these trials led the participants to not being paid and their data being excluded from our study. Each participant saw 128 images, one at a time, and was asked to rate the trustworthiness. Participants had an unlimited amount of time to respond. Well, it's just terrifying, and I'll terrify you even more in chat with a direct link to the research article. Synth faces. Coming for you now. And here's another story that I just love, I find fascinating. It's about language and culture and inclusion and disinclusion. Of the original 250-plus languages in Australia and over 750 dialects spoken by First Nations people before the year 1788, only 12 are being learned by children today. However, widely spoken contact languages, creoles and dialects, have emerged. One example is Aboriginal English, which is a broad term used to describe the many varieties of English spoken by Aboriginal people across Australia. Another example is Creole, which is a Creole language spoken across northern Australia. These contact languages are not always recognized as the full languages by some educators. Because of this, many First Nation children are not treated as second language learners. Their languages are sometimes viewed as deficient in forms of Standard Australian English, SAE, and can be invisible to teachers and educational systems. Next, these students were asked to orally reproduce a range of simple sentences given to them in Standard Australian English to gauge their proficiency. There were 18 simple sentences of different syllable lengths, 6, 9, and 12. Sample sentences included, "The dog barks at the cats," 6 syllables. "In the bush, they built houses from sticks," 9 syllables. "He always eats mangoes in the park with his friends," 12 syllables. Each sentence was marked for grammatical accuracy in Standard Australian English. The speaking ability of all three groups differed significantly. On average, the Standard Australian English speaking group recorded 71% accuracy. The group of First Nations children with diverse language backgrounds only scored 45%. And the others who spoke the same contact language and lived in Aboriginal community only scored 29%. So you're being left out right from the beginning because of your language. We also examined students' knowledge of 4 Standard Australian English grammatical features. The prepositions at, in, on. The plural s on nouns. For example, cats. Simple present tense with a third person singular s. For example, she runs. Simple irregular past tense. For example, they ate. The Standard Australian English speaking group and the speakers of contact languages differed significantly in all aspects except for the prepositions at, in, and on, where there was no difference. For other grammatical features, the difference of accuracy between the Standard Australian English speakers and the second group range from 12% to 20%, and for the third, 20 to 45%. Simple present tense with the third person singular s was the most difficult feature for the speakers of indigenous contact languages, and plurals the easiest. These findings highlight the close relationship that exists between indigenous contact languages and standard Australian English, as well as the significant differences. Our findings showed that the standard Australian English speaking ability of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students improved over their primary school years. However, it never reached the levels of their monolingual standard Australian English speaking peers. As the children progressed through school, the standard Australian English language and literacy demands increase at such a rate that language gains are unlikely to be identified in either classroom-based or standardized assessments. Consequently, students' achievements may not be visible or recognized in the classroom because there's no standard for what they know and how they speak and how they should be speaking in class, because their original language of origin is not being recognized as their first language. When they're learning standard Australian English, that is actually their second language. And deaf children have the same thing. Deaf children born into hearing families, their first language is English. And deaf children born into deaf families, their first language is ASL. To meet the standard Australian English learning needs of First Nations students who speak contact languages, their languages must be recognized and valued in the classroom. To show respect and promote learning, we encourage teachers to learn about the students' first languages and include them in the classroom. Students should feel free to express themselves in whichever language they choose. Recognizing their first languages plays an important role in learning. All teachers need to understand how language is learned, and it should be supported to effectively teach SAE along with curriculum content. Language skills are the cornerstone of literacy and educational development. Teachers should explicitly teach standard Australian English and provide students with the opportunity to practice their language skills. Really fascinating. It's easy to get left behind if you don't know the language, and if your teachers don't know the language that you actually know how to speak. And the way it's presented in those schools is these students are illiterate. They don't have a language. Well, they do have a language, but it's not one that's being recognized. And we're going to take our final blood pressure break, and then we're going to come back and talk a little about parasites in your poopy pants. Coming up next. And we are back from break. I'm David Boles, smiling with my trustworthy face. Or am I? Maybe I'm just a synth who has replaced the real person during the break. You'll never know because my face is very convincing. So this is Boles TV. We are live Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Happy to see you. Happy to have you with us. And we're going to round out the day talking about poopy pants. We've played the game Name That Poo before. Noticing between diarrhea and constipation. Kim Jong-il, North Korean dictator, does not poop in regular places. He hides his poop because he doesn't want people taking his poop and reading it for any kind of defect or health problem that he might have. So when he travels to different countries or whatever, people visit him. He makes sure that he poops in a place where he controls and that it doesn't go flushed anywhere and that it gets burned. So this is a poopy pot, more commonly known as a chamber pot. It looks earthen, but I'm told this is ceramic. I don't know what the difference between ceramic and earthen is, but the archaeologists know, and they will tell you momentarily. New research published today in the Journal of Archaeological Science reveals how archaeologists can determine when a poopy pot was used by Romans as a portable toilet, known as a chamber pot. Conical pots of this type have been recognized quite widely in the Roman Empire, and in the absence of other evidence, they have often been called storage jars. The discovery of many in or near public latrines had led to a suggestion that they might have just been used as chamber pots, poopy pots. But until now, proof has been lacking. Archaeologists analyzed crusty material formed on the inside surface of a ceramic pot dating to the 5th century from a Roman villa site in Sicily. Using microscopy to identify intestinal parasites, the team from the Ancient Parasites Laboratory identified the eggs of whipworm, confirming that the vessel had once contained human feces. It was incredibly exciting to find the eggs of these parasitic worms 1,500 years after they'd been deposited, pooped out. I love this story. Imagine what your job is. I deal with poopy pots all day. I look for residue. Whipworms are human parasites that are about 5 centimeters long and live on the lining of our intestines. Ugh. The eggs they lay get mixed in with the human feces and so would be deposited in a chamber pot, a poopy pot, during use. Minerals from urine and feces build up in layers on the inner surface of the pot as it was repeatedly used, creating concretions. We found that the parasite eggs became entrapped within the layers of minerals that formed on the pot surface, preserving them for centuries. This is the first time that parasitic eggs have been identified from concretions inside a Roman ceramic vessel, and confirms the pot must have been used to contain human feces. Although the measurements of the chamber pot, the poopy pot, indicate it could have been used for just sitting on, It was more than likely used in conjunction with a wickerwork or a timber chair under which the poopy pot was set. Ceramics are one of the most commonplace forms of archaeological artifact recovered from Roman sites. This technique provides a crucial tool enabling researchers to identify pots which had the special purpose of being a chamber pot, distinguishing them from those used as storage jars for food or other materials, although occasional alternative uses such vessels have been documented. The findings show that parasite analysis can provide important clues for ceramic research. The technique will only work if at least one of these people who used the chamber pot was infected by an intestinal worm. Where such parasites are endemic in the developing world today, more than half of the people are infected by at least one type of intestinal parasite. Have lunch with that one. If Romans were infected as commonly, there is high probability that this approach will identify such other vessels as poopy pots if encrusted deposits are preserved. Is this encrusted deposit from Marge or John? Well, we can't smell it, but we'll compare the parasites. A parasite expert said this pot came from the baths complex of a Roman villa. It seems likely that those visiting the baths would have used this chamber pot when they wanted to go to the potty, as the baths lacked a built-in latrine of its own. Clearly, convenience was important to them. And there you have it, the history of the poopy pot in ancient Rome. You can buy one for yourself, scrape it, see what kind of worms you can find. It's a delightful day when you learn something new. And today I learned a lot of stuff new. We learned Chase, JPMorgan Chase Bank is going big into the universe. Not for fun, no. They're going there so you can work. Don't thank them. Just bring them their own poopy pot. We learned how synthetic faces can fool you on a trustworthy scale. That's terrifying. Oh, I love that face. You have such a beautiful face. Why, thank you. It's not mine. It was invented by a computer. Same for NFTs. Avatars. Purchase them on the Ethereum network. Going cheap. Only $12,000. $33,000. The floor is $12,000. And we talked about language in children and acquisition and being left out in school, which is really a terrible thing. Well, I thank you so much for being here with me today. I appreciate your company and your time and your interest. If you have any questions or concerns, you can email me, david@boles.tv. If you have any questions for Jana, you can email her at jana@boles.tv. Find me on Twitter, David Boles, Facebook, Boles, Instagram, Boles Books, TikTok, Boles TV. Here's our Discord server. Want to stop by, join, say hello? It's the new place to chat. There you go. Click on that invite and you go right there, sign up. Here we are. So I will see you tomorrow at 9 a.m. And until then, I hope you sleep well, have a good day, and then when you awaken, that all the joy in the world belongs to you so you can share it with other people. Take care. I will see you soon.